Mm.
Okay. And do you remember how you got to that tavern?
Yep. We ran away from prison
Okay.
We escaped the
all
prison
together.
before.
Okay. And do you
Yeah.
And
remember
now we are
why
the tavern.
We walked a lot
you did
and we
walk a lot?
got to the tavern.
And do you remember why you were in the prison in the first place?
We
Library.
we got
Arrested
we all
in the
got
library.
arrested at the library
But we didn't know the reason. We need to find it still.
or
Yes, sir.
not care about it.
Need to investigate, bro.
Oh, not care about it. I love it. Let me get
I mean,
my.
we're out, right? That's
You
What
sure
are we
are.
wearing right now? Are we like in
No,
prisoners' garb or?
No, I'm imagining when you escaped, you took your stuff. So when you were in prison, you were in your normal clothing, but any armor or weapons and equipment would have been taken from you. And when you escaped, you would have acquired it back in the process.
Okay.
Let's get my document up. Oh yes, the wish list. Excellent. I forgot about that. Perfect. I've been talking to some of my other players in my other games about your group, and I described what happened in the session 0. And I've had mixed reactions from people. Some of them have laughed constantly for about 15 minutes to the point where I thought they were going to die. And some of them have looked very concerned about your lack of red lines and how I've written red lines none brackets ha 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 close brackets. So I think we've got a very interesting setup. I think the campaign premise is quite interesting with the way you've done everything. I was talking to one of my players yesterday, and I described what you guys decided you wanted, and he said, "So basically, you're running Vampire the Masquerade in Dungeons and Dragons." So I was like, "Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen, only without vampires." So that all works out really nicely. So without further ado, let's crack on.
I do have one
Hey,
question.
Mir.
When we get
Come on, I
in,
was about to start then. Go on. Yeah,
when we
go on then.
get
What?
in, are we our character the entire time?
So
yes.
it's a really good question, and that's something I probably should have addressed before. So there is a dividing line between the player and the character, sometimes referred to as the player character in one hybrid entity, right? You are yourself as a player. You're always yourself as a player, except when you're talking, when your character wants to say something. When your character is talking, talk as your character. Don't say my character says, just say the thing. Some people like to affect a slightly different way of talking in order to differentiate between the two of them. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to put a silly voice on, although you can if you want to, or play it with an accent. Some people just talk in a different style. So, for example, I used to play a character called Sebastian, who was a vampire, who was very thoughtful, and he spoke slowly, and he would use long words, and it was obvious when I was talking as him in comparison to when I was talking as myself.
All right, thanks.
So you might want to use some different way of being able to differentiate between the two. It doesn't matter too much in the grand scheme of things. Just imagine that if you're talking amongst yourselves or talking to somebody else, you are the character, not the player. And then when you're describing what the character does, you can talk as yourself, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not going to be too worried about that. We're not going to get bogged down about that too much, because what we really want to worry about in this situation is making sure we're telling a cool story and we're having fun, right? So if I'm not going to be having a go at people because they're doing it wrong. Like I might give you some advice, but realistically speaking, we're just here to tell a cool story and have some fun, or a stupid story, or a silly story, or whatever the story turns out to be.
Everything works.
Everything works. Okay.
Yep.
Does that answer your question?
Yep, I got it.
Cool.
Thanks.
Any other questions before we start?
Nope. I want to start already. Let's go.
Okay. Impatience. I like it. So our camera is going to come up in darkness to start with. Slowly the light flickers in. I say flicker because it's lit by flame. The flame of a lantern. hanging from a wooden wall. The camera rotates slowly to reveal a room. Largish, earth floor, tables and chairs, mostly ramshackle. Wood that's been sat on by many individuals over a long period of time. Some of these chairs have been repaired and repaired and repaired. There are a number of people in this room. Sat around these tables, small groups, gatherings of individuals. Most of these individuals are dressed in browns and greys and greens. Poor people. People who work the land. People who have to strive for every coin and choose to spend their coin in this tavern, this inn. Because there are also other people here. Richer people. People wearing purples and whites and golds. They sit very separately to the poor, closer to the bar, further into the light. They have smiles upon their faces. They have large, jingling leather pouches upon the table and fine spreads of food. Merchants. People who have travelled the lands, selling their wares and making the coin that goes with it. Furthermore, a bar stands to one side. It's rough-hewn, uncomplicated, simple, behind which 3 large, almost black wooden barrels and an array of pewter cups. Standing behind the bar, a tall, muscular man, long, dark hair, a big, thick, bushy beard. There is no mirth in this man's face. No happiness. He is here because this is his task, and he is doing it because he must. This is how he makes his living. The door to the inn swings open, and in walks a ragtag bunch of 6 individuals. They move through the door, closing it behind them, the wind picking up in the darkness and being cut short. This group is you. You find yourself standing in the bar. You see the people in front of you. There is a table off in the corner, slightly out of the light. And you find yourselves moving towards it and sitting down. How is the conversation? Have you walked in silence? Sarah, how is the conversation? Have you walked in silence?
Oh, I was about to act it out.
Cool.
Finally, my legs are killing me.
Is there a... Are there gamblers, maybe? Are there card games being played in the inn?
Not card games. There are some of the tables where the poor are sitting. There are dice games.
Are we tired? Are we exhausted?
I mean, I wouldn't say exhausted. You've obviously been walking for a fairly significant amount of time. You're tired. You're not like falling asleep, but you're tired.
Is it
Okay.
night?
It is evening.
Okay, guys, let's sit down, have a pint, and enjoy some food. We are all tired from the escaping.
I'd
In
much
this nice
prefer to
table.
go play some dice with the people there.
But
It
they are
reminds
poor.
me of my background.
They
Okay,
are
so
poor
Place
though,
they belong.
so even if you win, you're not gonna
Not
get
everybody.
any coins. I mean,
Mm.
only the poor are gambling.
Well,
Not sure.
Marvin, comment.
I think I have more in common with them than with people
Okay.
with the people I randomly met in some prison. So
Then you can
after I
go. Let's go.
You know, Virgil, maybe you're better off scamming the rich than scamming the poor. I don't know. I'll probably scam the rich if I were you. More cash.
Scam
But-
I
them
can
out-
drink one with you, Bob.
Statistically speaking,
Scam them out of
But-
what? Their
But
food?
dear, it's not about scamming. It's about being at home, being in my element. It's not. I have nothing to say to the rich. I am an outcast of society myself, so I don't want to have anything to do with the light side. I'd prefer to go over there, like here where we are sitting in the dark. Darkness was the place that called to me. So
Someone
are
play the Linkin Park.
I was just thinking that.
well,
Uh,
I mean, you can go if you wish to gamble. Anyone else wants a pint at least,
I am.
a beverage,
I,
something.
I am very wary. I want to sit down and enjoy a pint with whoever wants to share my
Yeah,
I'm
let's
also
moment.
go.
down to drink something, but
Let's
not
go.
much.
Arthur and what's his name?
Your name? What's your name? Are you asking me?
No,